How's it going? So, today's topic, been getting a lot of questions about this here recently. People have been sending me in questions and I appreciate it because I have fun answering them. So if you've got more, keep sending them. So today's topic is herbal laxatives as well as the saltwater flush. I figure that we'll cover those both, just get them all out in one pop. So we'll start out with herbal laxatives. I'm not talking about chemical laxatives. I really don't see a place for those, and it's not really, I don't really work with isolated things. I love herbs, and I'm an herbalist, and that's what I do. So with the two herbs mostly that you come across as far as laxatives on the market is going to be cascara sagrada as well as senna. Now, these are plants that contain a constituent called anthraquinones or anthraquinines, depending upon who you're talking to in pronunciation. And essentially what they, in a nutshell, do is they stimulate peristalsis. So that's the, more or less, it's the squeezing of your intestinal tract, because if you could envision this as your bowel, when you have matter in there, we'll call it shit. When it's in there, it causes a contraction, essentially, just the basic mechanics of it, and your poop is squeezed throughout your intestinal tract. Now what can happen is, for a whole multitude of reasons, people can become stuck with that. Now, basically what those two plants that I just mentioned do is they stimulate the contraction of that action throughout the GI tract, and they allow the poop to move through. Now, problem can become with a lot of people, they tend to be dehydrated. So if they are dehydrated and they have a something lodged in there and it won't go, and they go ahead and they take something like a senna or cascara sagrada, what can happen is you've got that action of the intestinal tract squeezing, and you've got a turd that's rock hard in there. And what can happen over time in some cases is that can actually cause small tearing inside the GI tract. Now, I'm not against the use of those things, because they do definitely have their place, but especially with senna is very aggressive. I used to work in the vitamin section of a grocery store, and we had the cascara sagrada straight pills, and I don't know, to me that's just it's just way too much. What you would want to do if you want to continue to stimulate the bowels in a natural manner, and see, mind you, the cascara sagrada as well as definitely the senna can become addicting, in the sense that your body can become reliant on it for peristalsis to occur within the GI tract. So that's something that we definitely don't want. Now, first and foremost is to try to avoid the dehydration, or the constipation in the first place. So you want to stay hydrated. Now that means drinking good water, good herbal teas, and by good water, I'll get into explaining the whole spring water thing, because I've had a few people ask me questions on that regarding distilled water. Because I used to drink distilled water, no longer a fan of it. There are reasons for it, but another video. So anyways, you want to avoid dehydration, and that means a lot of what has to do with hydrating yourself properly is not only good water, but you want to make sure that you have mineral content. So just knocking back a ton of water is not necessarily the answer, because if you're drinking a lot of water and you're pissing all the time and it's constantly clear, despite what some people out there say, if you're going quite frequently and it's clear, you're just having water rush through you, and that's putting some strain on the kidneys, because it's doing a lot of effort to get rid of water fluids that you don't need. And also in the process, you're flushing out electrolytes, and depending upon what your diet looks like and what your stress levels look like, how much caffeine, nicotine, whatever you might be taking in, alcohol, that all depletes minerals in your body as well. So you want to make sure that you're getting plenty of vegetables, or there are certain green powders out there. There's also certain mineral supplements that in liquid form that can be good. You want to make sure whatever you get, my suggestion, my opinion would be to find something that is a food-based product and not just some not some isolated pill type thing. So keep it as close to its natural form as you can. So that's first and foremost. Now, if you are having sluggish bowels, obviously fiber can help. You know, we'll set aside people that may have, you know, IBS or issues with their gut where they can't really take in a lot of fiber, because that's a whole nother thing. We're just talking about an everyday person here. So getting plenty of greens, and one of the big things with anything you're eating regardless is making sure that you chew your food. You know, I'm a big watcher of people, and just observing, most people don't chew their food. And me, I used to be a 260 some odd pound fat kid. I didn't chew my food. I just wolfed things down, and it actually took me quite some time to develop the habit of consciously eating, consciously chewing, and that it was amazing how much my digestion changed regardless of what you're eating. I mean, making sure that whatever's going down your throat is close to liquid as possible. And on that note, if you are drinking a smoothie or a juice, like swish it around in your mouth a little bit so it gets some saliva. Saliva contains amylase, which is it's an enzyme for digesting carbohydrates. So digestion begins the moment that food enters your mouth. So grab this cup of tea in the woods. Now, so we covered hydration, we covered mineralization. So let's just say that you are stuck and you're doing what I did suggest. What you might go to from there is every morning, start your day out with a glass of warm lemon water. All you need is just, if you aren't really a big fan of lemons, or you could try lime. Lime is fine too. Do it in warm water and get it down in, you know, relatively quickly. You don't have to chug it, but just make sure that it's getting into your body nice and warm, and that can cause a lot of relaxation. Lemon and lime, they are what is called, they do have an action called being a cholagogue. So, and those are all, that's an herbal action. Oftentimes it's described as being an herbal action, which I'll start making videos on that as well. But essentially what it does is it helps with the production of bile from the gallbladder, and that helps with the digestion of things. And also when the gallbladder excretes bile, that can actually, it causes a irritation isn't quite the right word for it, but once it releases into the small intestines, it basically causes your intestines, we'll say, just to wake up and it starts to function. So lemon water can help with that. Now, so if you do, just doing things like that, staying hydrated, and from there, putting more foods that are bitter into your diet. Now, there are actual bitter, like herbal extracts on the market, and there's a few of them that are good, and you know, you can always just play around with those, or you know, talk to somebody who works with herbs and they can suggest things for you. Now, the bitters, basically, they wake up your system. I mean, the cool thing is, with a lot of them, the way that they work is that you have receptors on your tongue that once they are activated, it just downstream into your throughout your whole body, it activates certain processes. So for instance, some people, like, you could take a very simple single bitter. So we'll take yellow dock. It's an herb that grows, if you're in North America, you've probably seen it a million times on the side of the road and you didn't even know it. But yellow dock is very bitter, and you can get effect from that just by taking a tincture and putting a few drops on your tongue. So the bitter receptors can, in certain cases, be that sensitive, and you can, you know, you're not having to suck down whole droppers full. So the bitters get things going. Eating more bitter greens, you know, taking things like arugula. I personally love arugula and can sit there and damn near make a mono meal out of it. That's just me. eating arugula, eating dandelion greens. If there's not 3 feet of snow on the ground where you're living and you live in a clean area, you might be able to just go pick a few dandelion greens. Heck, you might even get effect by just eating 1 or 2 smaller dandelion greens. So just working that in, and just making sure to pay attention to your stress levels as well. Stress is such a huge impact on everything, and unfortunately we live in a society that's just almost like a coked up monkey going 100 miles an hour. So it's very good to look beyond the stress as just being some catch-all phrase that gets used, like, oh, I'm stressed, or it's almost like it's cool. If you're not under stress, you're lazy shit or something. So now that we've said all that, those are things that can help you get your things going. And even just eating a little bit of bitter right before you start your meal. That's the whole thing. You want to use the bitter before you start your meal, preferably like 10-15 minutes before. If you're having junk food cravings even, I've seen a lot of people that can just use a little bit of bitter in the form of like an herbal extract. Or I mean, if you're the more brave, you can make some sort of tea that works just as well. But you can use just a little bit of a bitter extract, and that will it can actually make their sugar cravings go away, because there's a whole bunch of other cool chemical actions that go on that it can change blood sugar for the better, so you're not all whacked out. But there's also many different reasons why blood sugar can be off, and that's a whole nother topic. So not to make this too much of a long rant, we will now just quickly address the saltwater flush. Okay, so saltwater flush, for those of you who don't know, it goes along with the Masster cleanse typically. That's where what's his name, Stanley Burroughs, brought it kind of in vogue. What was that, probably mid-70s? Yeah, I can't remember, I got the book somewhere. Anyways, so what you typically do with a saltwater flush is take a quart of warm water and add, what, 1 or 2 tablespoons of salt to it, and there are some variations where you also add lemon if you want more of a sports drink flavor. And then you take it down really quickly, and what it does is basically just courses through your intestinal tract, flushing everything out. Okay, so I've done a lot of self-experimentation over, I don't know what, the past close to a decade. Tried a lot of things, read it all, and yeah, I've done the saltwater flush many times, like back early on, but do I suggest anybody do it? No. I think it's way too heroic, way too aggressive, and you can really, I think, in my opinion, most people have screwed up gut flora for a whole multitude of reasons, both things that they're doing intentionally and things that they don't know with their environment impacting them. So you've already got screwed up gut flora, and that may be part of the reason for why you're clogged up, or why your detoxification pathways aren't playing the roles they're supposed to be. So you blast all this water through you, and you do have the potential to flush out a lot of good things, and couple that with stressing your system out. Your system isn't, when you have diarrhea, for instance, generally, I mean, yeah, it feels good to get it out, but your system's under attack, possibly from microbes, or it just basically gets you more into a fight or flight. So with the possibility of flushing out intestinal flora, there's other ways, and in a lot of cases too that I've seen is that it's almost like people use that as a bandage every time they commit what they believe to be a dietary sin. It's, I went to the Jack in the Box, and the next day I got pizza and drank beer, and oh, I feel so bad, so now I gotta flush this out of me. It's like, no, because that can just be some perpetual cycle. It turns into an eating disorder, or if it was already an eating disorder, it can be exacerbated by that, because you got this thing that you can just do to clean yourself out. So there's other ways. I mean, always remember, if you do anything extreme, generally there's a 180 rebound effect. Not always, but it does happen a lot of time. And yeah, you could be that person out there who does a saltwater flush every single week, and you've been doing it for 20 years and you're fine, but that's probably not everybody. So always, I mean, part of the theme, part of my life that I've rolled with for a while, and part of the theme of this channel is to help you to like basically help to create balance in your life, and to look at wellness, if we'll just categorize it all, because I mean your physical, your emotional, and very much your spiritual is so important, and you want to create a lifestyle where you're lifting vitality and you're not just you know, worried about this like, oh, I'm broken, or oh, I need to severely detox myself because of blah blah blah. It's like what Ron Teagarden says, health beyond danger. You want to just keep improving and not do anything drastic, because like I said, there's the rebound effect. So anyways, that's it. Like, comment, share, and I'll talk to you later. See ya.